Julius Caesar, 100 BC, 44 BC, is one of the most famous and influential figures in the history of the Roman Republic. He was a politician, military commander, and author whose achievements had a huge impact on the modern world. Born into a patrician family in Rome, Caesar had a noble background and education. In his youth, he showed his ability to manage and lead, which allowed him to move quickly in his political career. Caesar held a number of important public offices, such as praetor and consul. However, Caesar achieved the greatest fame as a military commander. He made a series of impressive victories during the Gallic War, as a result of which the Roman Republic significantly expanded its territories. His brilliant tactical and strategic decisions brought him not only military victories, but also popularity among soldiers and the population. However, Caesar decided to strengthen his power, and in 49 BC crossed the Rubicon River, starting a civil war against the Senate of Rome. As a result of this war, Caesar became the dictator of Rome and the de facto monarch. He introduced a number of reforms aimed at mitigating social contradictions and creating a unified Roman society. However, in 44 BC, Caesar was treacherously murdered at a meeting of the Senate. His death led to a great political crisis in the Republic, which led to the end of this era and the establishment of the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar left an indelible mark on history. His personality and achievements continue to inspire scientists, writers, artists, and politicians around the world. He is known as one of the greatest military leaders of all time, as well as a reformer and a man who aspired to public justice. Caesar is famous for the creation of the Roman Empire and the foundation of the imperial system of government, which lasted for more than 400 years. His principles of dictatorship and power have greatly influenced many other empires and states in history. His contribution to the development of society, military and strategic art, as well as to politics and literature remain invaluable. 10 facts about Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was born on July 12, 100 BC in Rome. He was a Roman politician, military commander, and writer, as well as one of the greatest Roman emperors. Caesar played a key role in the fall of the Roman Republic and the establishment of the Roman Empire. He conducted many successful military campaigns, including against the Gauls, Germans, and Britons. Caesar had many enemies, including the Senate of Rome, who eventually organized a conspiracy and assassinated him in the Senate Square on March 15, 44 BC. Caesar designed the calendar that became the basis of our Gregorian calendar. He was a very charismatic leader with great external and internal qualities. Caesar was the author of several important works, including the Gallic War and the Civil War, which described his military campaigns. His name, Caesar, has become a general term for an emperor or ruler in many languages, for example, king, Kaiser, Tsar. Julius Caesar left an important legacy by erecting the Roman Empire and institutions that had existed for over 1,500 years. Gaius Julius Caesar. This name is among the first to come to mind when mentioning the Roman Empire. A cunning politician, a brilliant commander, a charismatic speaker, he went from the bottom to the very top of power, and later even his name became the title of the emperors of Rome. Many myths and legendary stories are connected with his life, rise to power. Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC. He came from a noble, but not rich family. From an early age, the boy dreamed of a career as a politician and military commander. However, at first luck did not accompany him. After the dictator Sulla came to power, he almost lost his life and was sent into exile. After returning to Rome, he became active in politics and became consul in 60 BC. Caesar spent the next 8 years on military campaigns. The Gallic War is one of the most famous periods of his life. He suppressed the revolt of the Gauls, conquered huge territories for Rome, almost the entire Western Europe, from the Atlantic to the Rhine. In 55, Caesar made his first trip to Britain. After the death of Crassus, Caesar's confrontation with the Senate began. In 49, uttering the famous phrase, "The die is cast," he crossed the Rubicon and conquered Rome. His main opponent, Pompey, fled to Egypt. After his victories, Caesar returned to Rome, where he was proclaimed dictator. At the top, having received virtually unlimited power, Caesar pursued a fairly reasonable policy. He completely updated the composition of the Senate, changed taxation, and the system of state power. He canceled numerous insane distributions of bread, which took a significant part of the treasury. After that, the crowds of lumpen stopped flooding Rome. Caesar built a lot. He repopulated the cities of Corinth and Carthage, conceived a number of other major infrastructure projects, but did not have time to implement them. Personal life: Julius Caesar was a very loving man. There were enough women in his life. In addition to official wives, he had many mistresses. Caesar's most famous woman, of course, was the Egyptian Queen Cleopatra. After the victory over Pompey, Caesar spent several months in the company of a charming queen, and after his departure to Rome, Cleopatra had a son, who was named Caesar. A few months later, Caesar summoned Cleopatra to Rome, where he showered her with royal honors. The novel continued until the death of the ruler. Plot: Julius Caesar was assassinated in March 44 by a group of conspiratorial senators. The nobility did not like the veneration of Caesar by the people. The conspiracy was headed by Marcus Brutus, whom Caesar particularly favored. His mother Servilia was Caesar's mistress in her youth, so many historians consider Brutus to be his son. The conspirators met the ruler near the Pompey Theater and stabbed him with daggers. Later, 23 wounds were found on the body. After the murder, a comet appeared over Rome. The people said that this soul of Caesar appeared over Rome for the last time. Character and appearance of Caesar. Historical portrait would not be complete without a physical portrait. Contemporaries described Caesar in different ways, but there was something in common in their notes. You can also understand what the dictator looked like by the sculptures that have remained since those times. A bust found at the bottom of the Rome identified with Caesar. Suetonius wrote that Caesar's face was plump. Perhaps over the years, as is often the case, the shape of his face has become somewhat rounded. Another author noted that his face was thin and his neck was thin. Gaius Julius had thin lips and an open, lively look. His expressive black eyes were full of energy, always looking somewhere. Life's trials, military campaigns, undoubtedly left an imprint on his appearance, making his look expressive and nervous. Caesar was always in a hurry. In a hurry, he could do several things at once. So, for example, the consul could attend the games and at the same time dictate several letters to his secretaries. Caesar dictates his comments. The dictator did not drink alcohol, swam well, and kept well in the saddle. It could hardly be otherwise, given the number of military campaigns that Caesar conducted on horseback. The dictator carefully took care of his body, plucked his hair on it. A notable feature of Caesar was his bald head. It is not clear exactly when the dictator lost his hair, but it is reliably known that he tried to hide it by combing a strand from the crown to the forehead. The laurel wreath, which the Senate allowed Caesar to wear always and everywhere, very successfully hid this shortcoming of the dictator. And although the dictator was unpretentious in food, luxury items definitely occupied him. For his camping tent, he transported a lot of jewelry, a mosaic floor, precious dishes, sculptures, and paintings. The dictator was served by invariably beautiful slaves. The character of Gaius Julius was not soft. Even the policy of mercy to defeated enemies was designed to serve only one purpose: the desire for unlimited power and loyalty on the part of citizens. Julius Caesar's reforms. Gaius Julius carried out reforms for 5 years, 49 to 44 BC, in order to centralize power, unite provinces into an empire, reconcile various parties, and consolidate them to strengthen his regime. The dictator's entire legislative activity was aimed at building a Roman version of the Hellenistic monarchy. Monetary reform. The first confirmation of adherence to the traditions of the Hellenic monarchy was the monetary reform. The gold coins of the East were in circulation along with the silver Roman ones. Caesar decided to mint his own gold coins, the value of which would be fixed in silver denarii. The Roman coin system, based on bimetallism, spread throughout the empire and quickly conquered the markets. For the first time, the person who minted them appeared on the coins. Aureus decorated the profile of Caesar. Calendar reform. One of the steps towards the transformation of the Roman provinces into a single empire was the introduction of a new calendar, known as the Julian calendar. Before Caesar, the Roman calendar was in effect, according to which there were 355 days per year. Every second year in February, the great pontiff inserted the 13th month, Mercedoni. Caesar listened to Egyptian scientists who claimed that one revolution of the earth around the sun consists of 365.25 days. This is how the leap year, bisextilis, known to us, appeared, when another day is added every 4 years after February 28. Caesar renamed the month of Quintilius in his honor, giving it the name Julius, July, while August was named after Octavian's successor. Since then, communication between the different peoples of the empire took place within the same time. Roman citizenship for the provinces. Caesar extended Latin law and Transpadane Gaul, north of modern Italy, where all residents were granted Roman citizenship. In other provinces, in Sicily and Narbonne, Gallia, cities received Latin municipal law, thus joining the Italian system of administrative administration. The cities of the Roman provinces copied the political system of the capital. Roman colonies appeared in the western provinces. They were to become springboards in the further spread of Roman culture and law. In the Middle Ages, the barbarian kingdoms on the territory of the fallen Roman Empire successfully adopted elements of Roman law and the administrative system. The same thing happened in the eastern part of the Republic, but not so widely. Replenishment of the Senate. In 46 BC, thanks to his position as prefect of morals, Caesar was able to change the composition of the Senate at his discretion. And since 45 BC, the Cassian law allowed the dictator to create new patricians altogether. All those who supported Gaius Julius during the political struggle, and even those who suffered during the time of Sulla, could now count on a place in the upper class. Among the new senators were ordinary soldiers who distinguished themselves by bravery and even freedmen. The number of senators was expanded from 600 to 900. Needless to say, the Senate was completely under the control of Caesar, who took over the management of the provinces and the management of finances. Army reform. Under Caesar, the process of turning a civilian army into a mercenary one continued. The dictator gave the soldiers a generous allowance, which, however, became a heavy burden for the state. The army was becoming an increasingly significant factor in the political struggle. In order to neutralize the social differences between the inhabitants of Rome and the provincials, the dictator in his appointments to military positions gave preference to little-known and obscure soldiers. Also, to create a single multinational empire, Caesar created legions consisting entirely of residents of the provinces. Thus, high positions and riches were obtained not only by the Romans, but also, for example, by the Gauls. Prohibition of luxury and other social changes. To reduce the decline of the population in Italy, Caesar introduced allotment benefits for poor families who had 3 or more children. Veterans were also given land. Full-fledged residents of Italy aged 20 to 40 years, the dictator forbade them to leave the peninsula for longer than 3 years. The children of senators could leave Rome only in a position involving departure to the province. In order to revive the economy and integrate the free population into it, the dictator limited the number of slaves in large estates. They were obliged to have a certain percentage of free people. Caesar, who himself adored chic and wealth, raised customs duties on luxury goods. The dictator forbade the use of personal stretchers, selling overseas delicacies, wearing pearls, and dressing up in purple clothes.